As we further discuss your top political headlines this morning, we're learning the White House could consider refund checks for taxpayers as part of the administration's push to cut federal spending. That comes as the new Department of Government Efficiency got some good news from a federal court.
There's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the DOGE savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt, because the numbers are incredible, Elon.
As we further discuss your top political headlines this morning, we're learning the White House could consider refund checks for taxpayers as part of the administration's push to cut federal spending. That comes as the new Department of Government Efficiency got some good news from a federal court. But as Doug Luzada reports from Washington this morning, the legal challenges continue.
Well, the White House says the cost savings are mounting because of federal cutbacks, but so are the controversies. And the president's chief cost cutter is mulling the possibility of DOGE dividend checks.
I think he's going to find $1 trillion.
Yeah, I think so.
President Trump and Elon Musk setting their sights high for spending cuts during an interview with Fox's Sean Hannity. And while federal employee layoffs have sparked protests, Musk says the goal is essential.
If the deficit is not brought under control, America will go bankrupt. This is a very important thing for people to understand.
And Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, has a running count of the savings, now pegged at $55 billion. When a user on X suggested cutting checks to taxpayers to refund some of those savings, Musk replied, "We'll check with the president."
This is nothing more than a money grab.
Democratic critics have been unsparing in their criticism of his cuts. But a federal judge told a group of Democratic state attorneys general that she will not cut off DOGE's access to federal systems without clear evidence of imminent, irreparable harm. The current record does not meet that standard, she wrote. Still, Democrats plan to keep up their opposition.
DOGE is simply taking a meat axe at government in defiance of the law without thinking of the consequences.
DOGE, meantime, is now looking at the use of government credit cards, saying there are more than 4 million of them.
There's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the DOGE savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt, because the numbers are incredible, Elon. So many billions of dollars, billions, hundreds of billions, and we're thinking about giving 20% back to the American citizens and 20% down to pay back debt and pay down debt, which is, if you look at value, if it were a real estate balance sheet, the debt is tiny, but we still want to pay it down. We don't look at it as a piece of real estate. It's America. We're going to get it down through intelligence, hard work, and as Elon said, a word called caring. You have to care. By doing this, Americans will tell us where there's waste. They'll be reporting it themselves. They participate in the process of saving money. We're trying to balance the budget immediately, and because of the tariff income, which is really, it's already turned out to be amazing, actually. It's really meant more for bringing countries and companies into our country, but it's the numbers are rather staggering, because we're the big piggy bank that everybody wants to be, and they can play games and they can say, well, there'll be retribution and, equal this and that, but they can't be equal. But we want to keep it so that we're the big piggy bank. And if we had years like we did the last 4 years, that wouldn't have lasted too long. We're not promising it, but, all of these things could happen. We hope to balance our budget. So I don't want to promise it, because if I do and we come about $10 short, the fake news media back there would say, we have breaking news. He did not make it. He did not make it. But we'll get it done very soon. It might not be this year, but it could be this year. Actually, we have a chance at getting it even this year, which people would be shocked at, because they were talking about 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now. When I took office last month, we inherited the consequences of inflation. That was more than 4 times what it was when I left 4 years ago. Think of that. I left, it was at 1.4%, and the annual government spending over $1.5 trillion more than projected in 2020 alone. $1.5 trillion. But under the Trump administration, all of that is changing faster and more dramatically than anyone ever thought possible. They didn't think it was possible to do what we've done in just a very short period of time. We've accomplished more in 4 weeks than most administrations accomplish in 4 years. On my first day in office, I imposed an immediate federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, and a foreign aid freeze. I signed an order creating the Department of Government Efficiency and put a man named Elon Musk in charge. Thank you, Elon, for doing it. Thank you very much. And he's doing a great job. You could have seen him last night. It's really, he's a very committed person. He's a very serious person. And he's a very high IQ people. I like high IQ people. Not all have to be, but, it'd be nice to have some people up there that he's a seriously high IQ individual. Now, he's got his faults also, I will tell you that, but not too many of them, which is now really waging war on government waste, fraud, and abuse. And they're curbing inflation and saving taxpayers billions and billions of dollars every single day. And there's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the DOGE savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt, because the numbers are incredible, Elon. So many billions of dollars, billions, hundreds of billions. And we're thinking about giving 20% back to the American citizens and 20% down to pay back debt and pay down debt, which is, if you look at value, if it were a real estate balance sheet, the debt is tiny, but we still want to pay it down.